Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Welcome in. We are so thrilled to see you all here today to learn about the best SysAdmin tool you're not using and to kick off the SysAdmin Day celebrations a little early. I'm Katie Frank, and our speaker today is Kayla Higgins, one of our brilliant systems engineers. But before we get started, print servers are the worst, right? Well, we're on a mission to eliminate them and help you deliver centralized direct IP printing to your end users and empower you to manage, track, and deploy printers from a single console. So let's go ahead and dig into our agenda and our first question for Kayla. We'll cover how to reduce cost, get into a poll question, learn about how to become more proactive in your role, how to best support end users, hit you with another poll question, learn about how PrinterLogic bolsters your organization's security, and learn about how PrinterLogic frees up your time. And we even have some suggestions on what you can do with that free time, followed by our third and final poll question. So, my first question for Kayla is, how do I reduce costs? I know the primary way to reduce costs is by eliminating your print servers, but can you dig in a little deeper about how we can reduce costs with PrinterLogic?
Of course, we can essentially reduce costs by 4 simple steps. First, we're going to migrate your current print infrastructure and move it to the cloud. Now, we allow you to do this by various different methods, but we also have a couple of tools that will allow you to essentially duplicate the queues from your current print infrastructure and move it into the cloud pretty seamlessly. Once that information is in the cloud, that's where all the magic will happen because now you're able to deploy all of those queues to your end users by security groups, IP addresses, etc. Now, the way that this works is that your end users' workstations will have a client running on them as a full system service. That client will simply just ping up via port 443 into the cloud and pull down any of the printers and permissions that they have access to. Now, the printers are being installed locally onto their machine, so the print jobs are actually being spooled and rendered on the device itself and sent directly to the printer, making it a more secure print environment. Now, when we talk about that admin console, we're essentially saying all of your different administrative capabilities within a single pane of glass. So in this management console, you're able to have very extensive role-based access. And you can also use our predefined roles or just create your own role for more of a granular security. Not only that, you're also able to SSO into this console using an IDP provider. We do support IDP providers using SAML integration. So once you integrate such as Azure or Okta into your environment, you're able to SSO into the admin console using an administrative role, or your end users can access or SSO into the end user console using SSO, which I'll show you here in just a few seconds. Now, like I said, it's all in a single pane of glass, so it also will provide printer and driver deployment, saving you a ton of time and a ton of money. Now, when we talk about the self-service portal, this is where your end users can manually install printers themselves. So they'll just simply be able to click on the client that's running on their workstation, scroll over to the printer that they're sitting next to manually install that printer locally onto their machine. Now, administrators can completely customize this console using security. And what I mean by that is, say, for example, you had a particular printer dedicated to a department. You can actually filter down users using multiple different methods, so only members of that department would see that particular printer, and that way not everyone has access to everything in your environment. But not only that, your end users can also see their print quota and also manage their badge and PIN number for pull printing, so that way they never have to call into the help desk. We also support SNMP monitoring as well. Now, SNMP alerting and monitoring essentially is the same thing, but when we talk about supporting it, we support versions 1, 2, and 3. Now, you could set up alerts based off of that SNMP monitoring on a particular printer, a group of printer, or even all of the printers in your environment. So this is completely customizable of what alerts you want to receive those or what alerts you would like to see those printers come from. Now, as far as those emails go, you can receive an alert for a low paper, a low toner. That way you can be more proactive rather than reactive, so you can get to it before your end users find out that there's no paper left in that printer. And it looks like our next slide is going to be a poll question. So I'm going to take a few minutes and let you guys pick and choose what you would like to do with this new ROI after saving you all of that money using 4 simple steps that we just talked about.
Yeah, so you've eliminated your print servers. You don't have to pay for those anymore. You don't have to pay for upkeep or anything like that. So, um, yeah, let us know in the poll what you would do with this new ROI, or if you have other ideas, pop them in the chat and feel free to discuss. It's looking like spending time and money addressing new projects is winning, which that's I would say probably the most responsible option of those. I do love the 7 people who said spoil my team with love and appreciation. Considering it's SysAdmin Day coming up on Friday, I feel like that's very fitting.
I feel like the spoil team with love and appreciation should be the highest one.
Maybe it is in their hearts.
I think the spend time on money addressing new projects takes the cake.
I think it does. All right, are we ready to move on to our next question for Kayla? Yes, spending time and money addressing new projects is indeed the winner. We love to see it. So Kayla, you mentioned you know, becoming more proactive rather than reactive. What are some ways PrinterLogic enables you to do that?
Of course, yeah. So we talked about the self-service portal where your end users can manually install printers. But not only that, PrinterLogic also offers quota management. So within this quota management functionality, the administrators are actually able to set a threshold on their end users based off volume or price, so your end users can't print past that particular threshold. We also did talk about SNMP monitoring alerts, where you can set up SNMP monitoring your environment and receive alerts based off of that information. But we also have advanced reporting. Now, advanced reporting is where you can receive an email on basically printer volume. So you can receive these emails daily, weekly, or even yearly, as a retention policy is 2 years. Now, utilizing this reporting functionality will save you a lot of money because you're actually able to see what printers are being utilized and what are not, saving you a ton of money on what printers are not being utilized.
Yeah, so you can get rid of some of those printers, especially the really pesky ones that always have trouble. So we touched on end users a little bit here, but what is the best way for us to support end users using PrinterLogic?
Of course, yeah. So I know that we keep mentioning this, but definitely the self-service portal. And the reason why we keep mentioning it is because it's definitely the most popular feature that PrinterLogic has to offer, as it's pretty UI friendly to the end users. But it's also optional because you do have the functionality as an administrator to automatically deploy out these printers to your end users as well. Now, your end users are not seeing this communication happening, so it's basically magic on their end as they just receive the printer just automatically on their machine. Now, these methods include IP address range, host name, all the way down to the MAC address to the workstation if you choose to do so. Now, when we go further into the topic of how we want to best support our end users, of course, we want to eliminate that print server. Now, from a technical perspective, that print server is a single point of failure. So if that print server goes down, all of your printing infrastructure goes down. Not with PrinterLogic, though. If your internet or network or even AWS were to go down, PrinterLogic will still be able to function as it's a direct IP printing environment. We also support pull and secure release printing as well. So this is essentially where an end user can submit a print job to a particular printer and then walk up to the printer to release that print job. And we have 4 different methods that they're able to release this job at. We can release it by badge number, PIN number. We also have a mobile app for iOS or Android, and within the app, there is a scanner. So in this use case, the administrator would put a QR code on the physical printer itself. The user would be able to walk up, scan that QR code to release that job that way. And then, of course, we can release it by browser as well. Now, of course, we mentioned the mobile app and the pull release functionality within it, but also you can submit print jobs directly from that app and send it directly to the printer. And the really great thing about that is that it utilizes IPP printing. So it's driverless and really, really seamless. Now, if a direct IP printing infrastructure does not work for you, this would come in a use case where an end user cannot communicate to the printer. Don't worry about that because we actually have a functionality called off-network printing as well. And this is essentially where an end user can submit a print job into that printer's network without ever poking any holes in the firewall. So it doesn't matter whether your employees are locally or remote, we got you covered in all of the different architectures.
And then this next slide is one of my favorites, but the best way we help support end users is by reducing print-related help desk tickets by 95%. So there's no stoppage of work. You increase user productivity because they're not having to stop working to submit a ticket saying, I can't print, or help me add this printer. They can use the self-service installation portal to add the printer themselves, and you increase printer uptime with PrinterLogic because you don't have that print server being a single point of failure. Which leads us into our second poll question, which is, what do you wish your end users knew? Our options are how to remember a password, how to install printers, how to update their computer regularly, or how to submit a ticket with more detail. Oh, okay, coming in strong with how to submit a ticket with detail.
I used to be a sysadmin, so this is definitely a huge pain point when it comes to any kind of IT responsibilities. If I could just have someone submit a ticket with very extensive detail, I feel like it would save a lot of time and a lot of money. By far, it takes the cake.
It really does. Man, I thought how to update their computer regularly, which really just means, in my mind, like turning it off and on again. But they know that already, right? Surely. But yeah, it looks like how to submit a ticket with more detail was the winner there. No surprises. No surprises at all. So my next question for Kayla is, how would PrinterLogic bolster my organization's security?
Yeah, we can do this by many different methods. I had previously mentioned the off-network printing functionality that PrinterLogic has to offer, but that kind of leads into a zero trust environment. Now, so not only can we utilize a direct IP environment, we can also implement a total zero trust environment. But if you're still worried about security, we can still implement polar secure release printing. Now, this is super, super secure because your end users will not actually able to release that print job unless they use one of the 4 different methods that we talked about before, actually at the physical printer itself. Alongside with that functionality, we actually have offline secure release printing as well. Now, this is essentially where an end user will submit a print job, go home for the day, completely turn off their workstation, and just forget about it. They come into the next morning and, oh my goodness, they have a presentation to do today. So all they would need to do is just walk up to that printer to release the print job that way.
Excellent.
But if you're still worried about security, no worries. We are ISO and SOC 2 compliant. So we definitely have you covered as far as certifications for our SaaS.
Excellent. Yeah, we'd love to see those certifications. They just give people a good peace of mind. It also helps those security questionnaires go a little bit faster when they're doing tech reviews. So, our final question, we are moving through this webinar. We want to give people some time back in their day. Our last question is, how does PrinterLogic free up my time, and what should I do with it?
Yeah, PrinterLogic will free a lot of your time and money. But when we go into how we would release your time, we all have a to-do list that's sitting on our desk, probably has been there for quite some time. And I'm sure somewhere on that to-do list is finally dealing with the Windows 2012 server end of life. Now, I cannot believe myself that this is already 11 years ago, but it is probably a good thing to finally get to that before it just completely crashes on you. And of course, going into that is some hardware refreshes that you might need to quickly update or just refresh in general. Or if you're just completely serverless, you want to go into the cloud, I'm sure digital transformation is somewhere on that list as well. So moving into the cloud has become a more modern approach, especially with PrinterLogic. So you can finally implement that zero trust environment that you've been thinking about for quite some time now. Or maybe you're even trying to look into a cloud provider for your AD, so you can finally move from on-prem AD into the cloud, such as Azure Okta, which also PrinterLogic can support.
Yeah, I think kind of to wrap up this slide, it's that reduction, that 95% reduction in help desk tickets is going to free up a lot of your time because you're not helping people install printers or troubleshooting printers as much. You can be more proactive rather than reactive when it comes to like toner or paper refills. And yeah, talking about digital transformation, that's on everyone's list, but like this group of people are the people who are responsible for making that happen for their organization. So freeing up their time to be able to focus on that is really important. And we love to be there to help you with that initiative. So that leads us into our last poll question. What would you do with this new free time? You could develop new goals, you could improve your skills, create more team building time, or catch up on new or old projects. Oh, team building time was going. Oh, I was really hoping. Oh, there's two for team building time. Love to see it. But yeah, that catching up on new and old projects is definitely going to be the winner there. But we love to see improving skills too, getting those certifications.
Someone
Oh,
said in the chat to clean up their server room. That can also be an
well,
option.
man, that really should have been an option. But
Yeah.
looks like catching up on new and old projects wins that poll question. So I think that totally makes sense. Yeah. So to wrap up, these are the 5 reasons you deserve PrinterLogic. You can reduce costs. You can be more proactive rather than reactive. You can better support your end users. You can bolster your organization's security, and you can have more free time to focus on more impactful projects. But that all sounds great and good, but how do you know you're going with the right print management software? We are the number 1 rated print management software on G2, and these badges look great and all, but the real meat of this is the reviews from our real users. And the one I'd like to call out here is PrinterLogic makes my life easier. We hear this all the time in calls with customers, and we genuinely love hearing that. We love hearing how it improves people's lives and hearing how simple it is to configure. And another thing we hear a lot is, I just set it and forget it, which we hope you don't forget about PrinterLogic, but we love that it makes it easy for everyone. So this is just one last call out for me to say, eliminate your print servers, move away from that archaic technology, and get a customized demo, maybe with Kayla, to see how simple and secure eliminating your print servers can be with PrinterLogic.